Hi, I'm Robert Oncoy, and this is Process Descriptions. Thank you for joining me. We're going to take a look at a particular type of process description, a flow chart. Here's a typical question, and as you know, we have three parts. We have the rubric, the exam's explanation or introduction of the graphic to you. We have your task. What do you need to do in 20 minutes? Summarize the information by selecting the main features and reporting on them, as well as making comparisons where relevant. And of course, we have the graphic itself. Now, it's always useful in the first 3 minutes to take pen to paper and make markings. Try to understand what you're seeing here. And as we see here, I want to identify or group two basic stages in this flowchart. Now, before I could identify the stages, it's helpful to quickly write down the steps, the key steps that you see here. And it's not just simply the number of boxes. Think about the actions that have to take place. For instance, the first step is obviously submitting an application. And if you're lucky, you're offered an interview. So you got to go to that. Now, the third step comes down here. What happens if you succeed? Obviously, a lack of success means you don't proceed. Well, success means the next step. So here it's taking an aptitude test. These are three pre-employment steps in this stage. Now, what happens when you pass that test? That introduces us to the new stage in the hiring process, probation. And here we have 4 steps. If you are successful on that aptitude test, you start your probation for 6 months. Then you get evaluated. And if it goes well, you're offered a job. So there are 6 steps total and 2 stages, pre-employment and probation. Now that's not all. Let's take a look at vocabulary that might help us in describing everything that happens here. Now, I'm not going to say that you have to use all the vocabulary you'll see here, but it is useful when talking about applying for a job. And as well, we have some helpful cause-effect vocabulary that we could use in almost any process. Leads to, results in, culminates in, end in. Feel free to pause the video to read everything more carefully. Now, we jump into the introduction. The introduction is the same no matter what task one, let's say you have to write. You look at the rubric and you try to paraphrase. Now, if you have a rubric where the sentence is actually very short, you can try to expand it using relative clauses. You could try to take any active voice and turn it to passive voice if it fits and makes sense. You could also just expand the idea a little bit further. For example, now once you're done with the introduction, we go back to the overview. Here, if you remember our quick analysis where I numbered the steps and then grouped the steps into 2 stages, we now need to write a 2 to 3 sentence overview paragraph. It could look like this. So I'll read this one out for you. Overall, the recruitment procedure includes 2 main phases or stages. The initial screening and testing process, which I wrote down here in shorthand as pre-employment, followed by a probationary period and final evaluation, which makes a probation phase. Now, one more sentence is needed. What goes in and what is the final state? So what goes in is a job application. And then the last step is success or failure, being offered a permanent job. Now let's move on to body paragraph 1. The nice thing with the overview is that when you mention what your 2 stages are, you've already previewed to the examiner what body 1 is about and what body 2 is about. Here is stage 1. The ideas are more or less complete. The vocabulary is not bad, and I'm using linkers: first, next, if and then, and while. Now, in case this feels like it's a little too mechanical, well, pause the video first, read it, and then continue the video to see how we can improve this paragraph. So here, I could use other language other than first or next, and then a successful job application, step one, is followed by attending qualifying interview. Okay. Here, I don't need to make a whole sentence. I've used a noun phrase, a successful job application, rather than you apply for a job and you succeed. Followed by another noun phrase here, attending qualifying interview. Okay. Here, we also use the verb proceed to indicate we're moving from one step to the next step. Now let's take a look at the second body paragraph. Now you note that I made the cutoff here from stage 1 to stage 2 about the aptitude test. Well, success on the aptitude test pushes the job candidate into the probationary phase. That's not a bad topic sentence. And after that sentence, we describe the steps that go through the probationary stage. Pause here to read the paragraph if you wish. And when you're ready, let's look at the whole essay. So here is my typical 4-paragraph IELTS Task 1 essay for the flowchart. I hope this has been helpful, and yes, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.